Heal Your Shit is a podcast for anyone curious about why life throws us curveballs. We're all about digging into the connections between mind, body, and soul, but we keep it real. Because, let's be honest, being human can be one wild ride. Once you understand your shit, healing it becomes a whole lot easier.
Welcome back to another episode of Heal Your Shit. It's been a while, so we're very glad to be back for this wintry episode.
Yeah, it's been quite a long time.
Been a long time.
But we really missed this. And it's nice to come back. And today we're going to talk about elements, the elements that exist in nature, but also how they affect us, our bodies, our behavior, the way we feel around other people. I think that's really interesting because people don't talk about it as much. This is like the basic knowledge from ancient times, but we want to put it into practice a little bit today.
Yeah, and how you can work with balancing your elements and get inspirations from us as well in that.
Yeah, exactly. So let's start.
Let's dig in.
Maybe let's start with elements because I think sometimes people hear elements and what do you mean?
Yeah.
And that the basic elements, and we're not talking about the Chinese elements because that's more, but the basic elements are water, fire, earth, and air. So these are the elements we'll be talking about today and how they show up in your body, your personality.
And obviously we're in winter now, in the depth of winter. So that would be the earth element.
Yeah, that's actually interesting because if I think about it, there's also water element to that.
That's true.
Because you go in depth, right? So you don't do much. You're not in fire like in the summer where you do things and you're, activated. You're going inwards. And I feel sometimes the air element shows very strongly as well in spring, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Well, yeah, because spring is the rebirth and the new inspiration. That's for me. I feel the winter is, going inward, reflecting, feeling the slowness, the yin. And when the spring comes, it's the aliveness. It's like going out into the air and like, let's,
That makes sense then. Yeah. Because then autumn would be
water, right?
It would be. I think they're connected kind of. So the water, but also the earth. Because if you think about all those leaves and falling down, and there's this earthy element that's very, very strong there. Yeah. There's a little bit more of heaviness because we don't feel that in the spring. We feel the lightness that you just mentioned.
Yeah, and the spring is also, it gets birthed from the earth.
Yeah,
the plants and everything is coming out of the earth.
So as you can see, it's not like super linear.
Yeah.
And it could be two elements working together, really.
Yeah.
But also, like, if we think about it, as you said, you mentioned it, that there's yin energy and yang energy, and one is feminine, and the other is masculine. And then astrology, fire and air are the masculine aspects, and water and earth are the feminine aspects. So actually, if you think about it, that makes so much sense, right? And so to have like 100% of balance, you would have to either have it even, or you have to know what's lacking in your life and then kind of add it for different techniques to make sure that you feel good. Because some people, like when I look at birth charts, and that's how I work with it. So I look at the birth chart and I see, okay, you have a lot of fire and you have a lot of air and a lot of earth, but you have no water. Yeah. So it's very hard to go into your emotions, and life is not fluid for you. You're like work with air, so you think a lot, and sometimes you overthink, and like you go with the fire and the earth stabilizes you, but there's no emotional connection in that. So sometimes this shows us, I would not say sole purpose, but there's like a lesson. There's like a lesson in that, like in this lifetime, I choose to learn to master that thing that I'm lacking and kind of bring it to my life consciously.
Yes.
So, yeah, I don't know if you can relate to that.
Yes. And what I also want to say in these times, of course, it's a lot of imbalance in the air elements in the mind because, what I say, like with computers and screen, it's a lot of air.
Yes,
It's a
it's
lot of
here.
going here, thinking, analyzing, getting a lot of impressions, and it's moving fast. So air is fast moving. So,
Yes.
we need, when we have a lot of air, we also need to be allowed to go deeper into our emotions and also into the ground.
Earth.
Yeah.
So put the roots into the ground so you could
Exactly.
exist in the air.
Yes.
And that's so important. Like you have to counterbalance. It's the same with fire and water. Like if you're just fire, and then water is like there's nothing, it's not so good for you. You cannot connect with your emotions as deeply as you would. Like fire can express them very
Yeah,
well.
and fire can be anger and movement and like that, but air is like all over the place.
Yeah. And I see when I work with this and I see like someone has a lot of fire. So as you said, there's a lot of like from issues, right? Because there's a good sides and there are shadow sides of the same element. So like it's like nature, it's we're not saying it's good or bad, but there are shadows, of course. So with the fire, you're like you're just jumping into it, and it can be great.
Yes.
Like if you need this, you're an entrepreneur, you need to just jump into doing things. That's great energy to have, but it can be also very tricky when, for example, you don't have other elements as balance, and then in the relationships, you just go into emotion straight away. You're reactive because fire is reactive. It's like boom.
And
That's it.
also, if you pour water on fire, what happens? It's like
Smoke.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So that's fascinating because fire can also be connected to the heart and heart attack. And
right.
if you just have that fire, you can go and get things for yourself in life. But how are you with your partner, to attune with your partner?
Yeah.
With attune with your partner's feelings. If you just have the fire, it's like, you just want to.
And that's a very good challenge that you brought up because we can have, and many people, I see that when I do those readings. So many people have a lot of fire and their partner has a lot of water and they lack fire. And then you say like, oh, we're like, we have what the other doesn't have. So it's like balancing each other, but it can be very tricky to understand each other in those terms. Like as you said, like one person comes and like, but I feel this and this so my emotions, I'm very sad right now.
And then it's like the other, just do this. Just, just going to do it. Just go into the fire.
Yeah. So it is quite tricky and it's actually good to see, oh, I have a lot of fire. So now I understand that I can get easily angry or maybe anxious. Anxiety, it's more air. So like if you have a lot of air, then that means that you're going to overthink things.
Yes.
It's going to be like
and looping as well.
Looping.
Yeah.
And in the night you're going to have hard time to fall asleep because your brain is going, like a train. Very hard to stop it. So air is a lot about thinking, overthinking, and understanding that, okay, like I think a lot. What can help me to bring that down a little bit?
Yes.
Then you have grounding.
Yeah.
So you have too much air, too little of earth, let's say. Then you might want to maybe do the meditation. I don't know, go into the forest and walk barefoot.
Yes, and connect to the forest, to the earth, or or if you have a lot of air and you want to connect, with the water, you can go have a dip in the lake and really feel it.
Feel it, yeah. Ground that scattered energy, which is like the energy of the mind. People with a lot of air tend to be very intellectual. They're very good teachers. They're very good academic people. Like, they're very much like concentrate, like, okay, I have to, it's not through experience, but it's through reading and studying that I learn to live. So that's very strong for them. If they're writer.
I mean, that could be a beautiful gift, but it could also be a way of hiding. And that's also what I can see. It can be, connected to trauma or not being allowed to feel emotions. Like when I was younger, I used to train all the time, but that was also a way of not staying and feeling and sensing deeply and doing the inner work and being vulnerable, because for me it wasn't safe to be vulnerable because the whole school system, and as a guy, how many times it's like, what are you feeling, what do you want? And exposing yourself in those environments would have just led to more stuff or more drama or just being laughed at or but now we're adults, we have the opportunity to do the inner work and to balance ourselves.
I think that's a very interesting point because, of course, we have our elemental blueprints, whatever we like to call it, and then we have traumas, and then we have intergenerational traumas, and then we have past lives, and all that stuff. So there are layers and layers and layers. I think, yeah, it's very good to know what's your blueprint because then you can consciously work with those things that are quite hands-on.
Yes.
Because I see people like, for example, I had the tattoo artist that did this. Thank you. He actually we did this together, and he has a lot of air, a lot of fire. He has no earth whatsoever. And I told him, dude, you have to go into the forest, go barefoot, go and listen to the birds. I don't know, like be in the body, eat the earthy kind of food, like, the root foods and stuff like that. You have to connect with Mother Nature in that way so that you can ground all those elements because otherwise you're all the time there. And it's great. Of course, he has a lot of fire, so he's a great entrepreneur, and he has the artistic side. So there's water, so that he can express, and air. There's a lot of thinking behind it. So he's really good with that. And he admitted to me, like, yes, this is exactly how I feel. Like I cannot ground myself. It's very difficult. It's a challenge.
And that is so important because, and also the way that you're working with it, because sometimes we actually use coping mechanisms because our fire hasn't been allowed. It's like our anger has been suppressed, for example, or our emotionality wasn't welcome, or the earth, we were maybe, we sit still, we just stay in that. And our parents maybe it's like, come on, you have to do something. So it could be just a receipt, basically, like, okay, this is like the blueprint that I came in with. So I can connect deeper to that instead of and seeing where I sort of like, okay, I started using air to get away from myself, like in my example. And then it's really like, okay, can I go down and can I be with my own emotionality? And just like, and really create that softness and that love.
Yeah.
That also, for me, it's a lot of the water. It's the nourishment.
Yes.
It's like
the softness.
water.
But actually, that's very interesting because if you think like if we know how our kids are kind of built, then we can also address it differently. Because if you have a kid that's very much with the water, they will need that support, but they will need sometimes this little push of if they don't have, for example, fire to like, okay, let's embrace your emotions, let's stay in them, and then let's use your creativity because that's a very creative energy, and then let's do it together, like, and then you add that fire yourself or through colors. It's such a powerful tool.
Yeah, and it's important, not the like fire, but the gentle fire,
Gentle fire.
like the sun shining ocean. It's just like
that's the kind of fire that a person with a lot of water needs.
yes,
It's like a gentle reminder, like, hey, sun is here.
yeah, and talking about that, I just talked to a client, and she was talking about how much balance it brings to her to be at the beach.
Yes.
And I was thinking about that. Okay, we have the sand, we have the earth, we have the water, and we have the sun, and we have the open air.
So everything.
So
is
it's
there.
everything is there, and that's such a beautiful picture to bring. When a lot of people are sitting in these offices crammed with computers and no daylight, or
No bueno.
no, and then it gets extra important, and we can feel it in our bodies. Like after a day inside, it's like we really need to get out and connect. Otherwise, this frustration builds, and this disconnection, this dis-ease.
And also like there was a study actually recently that said that actually for our nervous system, working in offices and open spaces is a terrible, terrible thing. So if you think about that, corporations, maybe you should apply some changes. It actually used to be better if you had like your small office where you could actually ground yourself. And then think about also like the desks. They used to be made from real wood, not from plastic, not from plywood. So that real wood, the energy of your office would ground you. And then you could do the thinking also in that. And now it's like all open, the scattered energy. Scientists says that it's not good because you feel watched all the time, and then your nervous system goes into even more anxiety. So if you are working and you have a possibility to work, I don't know, from a beach or close to the nature, the view even on the nature, that's so good for your brain.
Oh yeah, and I mean, being in an environment like that, the vagus nerve gets overwhelmed. Then we basically need to go to the toilet or hump for ourselves or something, to slow slow our nervous system down.
Yeah, that's for sure. And that's why I also feel like when you know those elements in your blueprint, then you can adjust like, okay, I see that I need a 30 minutes walk in the forest, or I see that I need to sit by the water, or maybe I need to sit by the fire every day. And that's going to bring me that kind of peace that I'm really longing for.
Yeah.
So I think that's super, super crucial to know that, because we sometimes do it unconsciously. And that's also using our power and also being connected to our body, which is a great, great challenge these days.
Yes.
People are disconnected. When you're disconnected, you numb yourself into like, "Oh, I'm feeling so stressed, overwhelmed, I feel anxiety." And then what I do, we talked about it, like we play video games or like go even more into this air energy. That's not going to help you. That's going to be a patch, but with the same kind of energetic blueprint, that's not going to ease your nervous system.
No, and that's what I mean with also the awareness of the body and the nervous system. Because what happens otherwise is like we get so dysregulated that we want like a shock to actually feel something. Like we want to get like sex, drugs, and rock and roll, basically.
Yeah.
And instead of like, just doing these exercises, or for me in the winter, it's like the sauna, the warm bath, the warm food, the things, we all know is good, but to actually do it. And then from that, when I'm feeling the balance, then I can go and have an ice bath.
Exactly.
But if I'm all imbalanced, it's like going into the freezing. It's like, well, I'm already so cold. So it's like, first with the self-care and, really feeling into like, I'm taking care of this and balancing.
That's why I have a problem with, and I love Wim Hof, but with the Wim Hof method, because it has to be, like you said, like you need to first nourish your body. You need to first heat it up. You cannot just go from nervous breakdown, overstimulation, and total anxiety into more like, like freezing that anxiety. You have to nourish it. And I think for many people, that method is amazing and it has great results. But also, like, you have to look at your specific blueprint. So if you have a lot of water, and then you don't have fire and so on, you go into that, you're going to get even more frozen in your body, in your soul, basically, in your emotions. So I don't think like every method is good for everyone. I'm not a fan of one size fits all. And that's why I'm doing this work, because I want to make people see and understand that you're so special. Like your chart looks like this, and it's different from your partners and from your child's, and you're so different, and you just need different ways of balancing those elements, or actually cherishing your gifts, because people that come with a lot of fire, that's a leadership role. That's like moving masses, moving through, time and space. And people who have a lot of air, they bring like gifts of thinkers and like new inventions and all that stuff that can be created only when you connect with that element. And people with a lot of water, they're just beautiful artistic souls that can feel other people. That's
Connection.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And every element, earth people, I mean, that's like beautiful. You're grounded, you're present, you're stable. We can count on you. You're like the base of the world. So like everyone has this, or most of the people has a dominant element. I also saw some charts where there's quite a good balance already. So that's actually very interesting. But most of the people I've seen, like, it's like 3 elements are there, one is lacking. And one element can be also very, very dominant, and people don't know why they get so angry. They don't know why they get so much anxiety, even if they worked with their childhood trauma. It still shows up, and I think that's quite interesting.
That is so fascinating. That makes me think about my chart.
I brought it today.
Because, thank you, Laura.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking I didn't have as much air as I thought. And because I get so tired and overwhelmed if I speak and I'm around people that is not rooted in their bodies, and that might also be me lacking my earth element. So that was some reflection that I just came up with.
Your earth element. Okay, so I have here the chart, and so this chart you can prepare only if you know, apart from your birth date, which most of us knows, I suppose, but also the place and the time, exact time, and you can actually have it if you know more or less. I was born at 8-ish or 9-ish in the morning. That's enough. but it's very important to have an exact time of your birth. So I'm looking into this chart, and when I looked at it before, I kind of spotted a lot of air element. I was like, wow, he has a lot of air element. But actually, those are not the planets that have the majority of importance. Because when we calculate those elements, it's not like every planet in your birth chart has the same power. Some planets have more power, so they're more important. Like sun or moon, right? So those are the planets, or your ascendant. So those are the planets that are very important placements in your chart. And then when I look at it, so basically you have a majority of water, which makes sense because you have 44.44% of water, which is double of your numerology number. You're 22, so it's like double.
It's connected.
It's very, very nicely connected, I would say. I see all those nuances, but that means that you do really connect deeply with people, with emotions. You need depth. And also looking at your sun in Scorpio, that's the depth. If you look at the signs, like you have water signs, and that's Pisces, that's Scorpio, and that's Cancer. No, right?
No.
This is not.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, it's quite tricky, isn't it?
It is tricky.
Yeah.
Me.
So those are the 3 water elements. Okay. And then each of these signs have a different expression of water. And your expression of water, because the sun is in Scorpio, is the depth, going to the deepest emotional states, cutting through, but also like reaching the shadow and the like total collapse and everything like that. You have to reach to the root of that, to the deepest depth. And sometimes when we think, like, for example, about Cancer wouldn't do that. Cancer is more about like the coziness of the water, the emotional connection with the people around them. It's more like stable water. And then we have the Pisces, and the Pisces is like, woo, we're flying away. Like we're jumping over outside of the water and inside to go up and down all the time. There's a different like energy towards that. But it's very strong in you. And that actually, if I look at your chart, everything is above. So that means that all your aspects, energetic aspects, are present in the world towards people, like exposed to people. So some people have it below, and below means like me, my internal life, how I reflect on life, and my closest family. And you're interestingly on the other side. So all your elemental expressions are here for you to express to other people, to teach.
Transpersonal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So you're there as a beacon of light, so to say, for others, to help others go in depth. So that's your water element. That's so important in your work. And it makes sense because that's what you do. Wow. And then you have also, so we have water. And then if we look at the second, the biggest is fire. So, and interestingly enough, your Mars is in fire sign. Where was it? I saw it before. Yeah, it's in Leo.
Yeah, in Leo. Yeah.
So that's very nice masculine energy to have, especially when you work with men.
Yeah.
So there's depth in you, but the fire is, so you balance the.
And I need to cut through with the fiber.
You do cut through. That's why I mentioned that. So your chart actually shows that you do balance feminine and masculine. That's the most beautiful, because that's what we're trying to do on this earth, to find the balance. We're both. We're all both. It's not like, oh, I'm a girl, so I don't have masculine. I have a lot of masculine as well.
And it's so important to, as a man also, to be in touch with that feminine, to be in that softness and be in that self-care taking.
Exactly.
Because that is such a nourishing place to be in, like that self-love. And for a lot of men, it's just like the wall of shame in between that, and to go through that. And it's really, I care about this person, about this body.
That's such a water speaking, but it is exactly like that. And I feel like many men neglect that water part, and many men have a lot of water in their chart. They don't even know about it, and then they shut it down, and it's even worse for them. Because if you have water and you shut it down, it's like you said, when in the childhood, you were not allowed to feel, you were not allowed to connect. So then you didn't feel like the society gave you that possibility to, like, oh, how do you feel? And you want to sit with those feelings. And instead you went into the air element, which is lacking in your chart. as for air element, you have some stuff. It's Venus in your air, so you're thinking a lot like about the love life. Is a lot about analysis as well with you, I guess.
That's not fun.
Let me see, but it depends where your Venus is as well. So it's not as, but it's also Venus. Your Venus is in a good house because it's in the house of Libra, and Libra is that's a good house to have your Venus in. It's all about balancing it. So balancing and thinking that everything should be like kind of even. There should be like even energetical connection, and like there shouldn't be like disruptions in the relationships and stuff like that. So it makes sense.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's still that's the element. So there's also thinking into that, like what's just in a relationship and what's not.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah,
okay,
yes.
there you go.
And I'm still single, so reach out.
Yeah, just write in the comments. But it is fascinating because I could go on for hours.
Yeah.
And one more thing is that you have a majority of fixed signs in your chart.
What does that mean?
Yeah, so fixed signs, think about Taurus, think about Leo, think about Scorpio and Aquarius. All those signs, what connects them, even if they're in different energies, what connects them, they're like the stable ones, the mid-range, so to say, reliable ones, loyal ones. Because we divide in astrology all the signs into cardinal, fixed, and mutable. And cardinal, for example, is Aries. And those are initiators, practice people, leaders. Then we have fixed, like you. So there's a lot of fixed energy. So you do stabilize people. So apart from going in depth, working with emotions, burning through whatever is there to be burned, you also stabilize them. So that's a huge thing.
That's beautiful.
That's beautiful. And I know you, but I'm looking now, I'm just reading what's in your chart. And then you have mutable, which is Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. So these are the ones that are more like changeable. They adapt to the life and go with the waves, basically, of life.
Yeah.
So for example, that you have a little bit less. So like you're really like the stable guy here, which is really nice. And then, we could look at all the houses because each house represents something else. So all these elements can express differently in different parts of your life. As I said, like, for example, your love life, that can be connected very much to the air element. And that's also in the ninth house. So your love life can be very much connected to travel.
Oh, wow.
Or like getting outside of here.
Oh, wow. I need to get out.
Yeah, you need to get out. But also the connections, because it's could be on the mind level. You have to really connect first on the mind level. If you don't connect on the mind level, it's very hard to go.
That's true.
In the emotional level.
That's also true. Like to have the connection and feel like, oh, there's an exchange here.
Yeah.
There's interest. There's a curiosity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our minds can talk to each other.
Yeah,
and then, okay, now we can go to the next level. I have a lot of emotional depth that I can offer you.
Exactly. Wow. I love that.
Yeah. So that's like I'm doing it on the spot. But this is like a huge work to do.
Yeah. And I think we should also address the workshop that we planned.
Oh, yeah.
So, because this is, it brings me a lot of joy and excitement to do this and to actually be able to combine, to see and have people and analyze and see their elements and then combine that. What are you blocking? What are you not, what elements are you imbalanced in? And how can we help you with that? Through the armoring or different practices.
Or breath work. We just need to really see. We talked about April. So we planning this workshop to work personally with you here in the spot. So it's not online, but we're also thinking in the future of some online workshops. But for now, it's here. And we're going to analyze personally everyone and see their charts and work with each person, giving them this kind of very basic overview. Because normally I do quite big overview, but we're going to start with quite basic overview. When you see which things are in balance and what you can work with, how can you bring that element into your life? That's a very interesting part. For example, I don't have air in my chart, and I do have 2 tattoos with winged creatures. So that gives me the air energy. So I balance that lack. And this is how we're going to address it. So I'm going to look at that. Each person will get their own review of their chart. So you have to obviously know the time when you were born, but that shouldn't be a problem. And then personally, we're going to address that with different
exercises to balance the elements, and also how you can work with the body in the arm ring to balance it up. And then you could reflect upon this yourself as well, and in couples. And so that's going to be a very exciting
it's so
workshop.
fun.
So looking forward to this kind of co-creation.
Yeah.
For us,
it's fascinating. We like to co-create.
Yes, I love it.
But I think that's also very interesting for you, who maybe you're struggling with some symptoms of your body and you don't know where it's coming from. If you have like overly heavy earth element in you, you're going to struggle with digestive system. You're going to struggle like with your solar plexus. So I also work with chakras. We're going to bring in the chakra work as well, I think. This is still like in making, but
it is. But it's so fascinating because, it's the fire is connected to the digestive system
as well,
and stuff like that.
Yeah. But the heaviness of the earth can make it
like
collapse.
Clog it up.
Right? So you cannot go to toilet, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
It's that, or I'm thinking what else, like the water elements, maybe. If it's like too much in the body, you can gain weight very easily.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like sluggish. You cannot get rid of it really. It's like the water stuck in your system.
And water can also be like, having problems with expressing boundaries and like
absolutely
getting up there like, I don't want that. I want this.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, it's so scary. The water's like, maybe I want this. It'd be nice to feel it. And it's like, it could be very fluid, but very unclear as well.
I think people with a lot of water are very vulnerable to the manipulation, the air and fire element. Like you can get very overwhelmed. And if you have too much air, for example, you get anxiety. And that's terrible. This is like the most common thing we actually see in the world. It's depression, and that's water element at its worst. And then you have anxiety, which is the air element at its worst. Then you have also like the anger, all the anger issues like breakdowns, that's the fire.
Okay. Yeah, of course.
So there's like, I think that those are the most common things that people are struggling with. And sometimes you do the work, you go to psychotherapy, and that's done. And you, of course, it's like you're never done, but you're doing a lot of work and you don't see results. And sometimes you need to take yourself out of that situation, put yourself in some surrounding that's going to support your element.
And what I want to add to that as well is like another way to survive this world, so to speak, is to just stay in survival mode and just not show up at all or dissociate and shut down.
Yeah.
But then you don't bring your aliveness to the world. You don't bring your gift. You don't bring your passion, what you're here for, what you're here for, to create or do. And that helps us to actually feel more aligned, to feel more alive. So that's what we want to. I want to contribute to. And that's one of my passions. To cut through the bullshit and cut through the like, just do this every day to survive. No. Okay, we need to like be able to feel that.
You don't have to live in the circumstances that you do now. I know it's easy to say, but it's all about adjusting those small things. And we're not talking about traumas again. Like I'm taking that away. Let's say that's done, or you're tackling it, or you're working with that. There's this other aspect that you can really have the power to change that. And I'm telling you, because I love those tools. Like the other day, we just changed things in the house to make the energy flow better with Feng Shui. And I just feel it. I feel that the energy, the air is moving in a different way. There's fire where it should be, all that stuff. And these adjustments are so easy to make. So sometimes we struggle to adjust to certain things that are big topics in our life, which are traumas. But some things you can really change now.
Yes.
Like you can change. I spoke to someone, they had a lot of water energy. And I said, hey, you know what? If I were you, I would not have my house painted in blue or like this like bluish kind of colors. I would not increase that element in my house because that could bring you a lot down. And that person said, she said like, you're so right, because I feel like I need to put something else there. Like I had one apartment that was blue. I felt so bad, so sad, always sick and so on. And I said, yeah, it's just enough that you add those yellow cushions and some like sun element, like something orange, something that brings the fireplace. That's great. And she said like, yeah, exactly. That's what I did in my new house and it works. I feel better. And it's just those small adjustments that can make a change and make you feel comfortable. So you can go outside of your comfort zone and then realize your real purpose here because you're feeling good.
Yes. That's so beautiful.
Yeah. Ah, thank you. And so we invite you to this workshop. We're gonna keep you posted. So just check Olof's Facebook page. We're
Yeah.
gonna link everything. There's gonna be also quiz on my website, so you can just check without me interfering, like which element really shows up in your life right now the most. So that could be gold diagnostic tools for you.
Wow.
We're just hoping that you enjoyed this because we did. I feel like my fire is like up, like, woo, this is so cool.
Yeah. And it's my water. My water is stirring.
Thank you so much. And we're gonna continue this. So follow us.
And please like, share, and subscribe if you feel.
Share it with a friend that needs it.
Yeah, exactly.
There's always someone that needs it.
Yes, it is. Welcome.
Okay. Ciao, ciao. Thank you.
See you.